good soil is the secret behind every great harvest. Not the number of seeds you plant, not even how often you water, but the richness of the ground beneath your feet. For years, gardeners believed manure was the answer. And yes, it works. But it's messy, smelly, and not always easy to find. That's why I quit manure, and what I discovered were simple fall tricks that gave me healthier crops and far bigger harvests without ever touching a shovel full of manure again. Fall is the perfect time to start. While the garden looks quiet above ground, beneath the surface, microbes and earthworms are still busy. Feed them now, and by spring your soil will be bursting with life. Let's start with the first trick. Trick number 8. Wood ash. If you've got a fireplace or fire pit, don't overlook what's left behind after a cozy fire. Wood ash is a natural source of potassium, phosphorus, and trace minerals that strengthen plants, especially fruiting crops. Sprinkled lightly in the fall, wood ash helps balance soil nutrients and gives your garden a gentle mineral boost. But here's the key. Don't overdo it. A thin dusting across the beds is plenty. Too much can make the soil too alkaline. Used correctly, wood ash improves the flavor and size of fruiting vegetables. I've seen tomatoes taste sweeter, squashes store longer, and even root vegetables grow cleaner and firmer. All thanks to a simple sprinkle of ash in autumn. It's another example of turning what many people see as waste into something that quietly powers your garden. Trick number 11. Apple cider vinegar boost. Now this one surprises people. A splash of diluted apple cider vinegar can actually unlock nutrients in your soil. How? The mild acidity helps dissolve bound-up minerals like phosphorus and potassium, making them easier for plants to absorb. Later in the fall, add 1 tablespoon of vinegar to a gallon of water and pour it across your beds. It gently lowers the pH just enough to stimulate beneficial microbes and free up stuck nutrients. You don't want to do this too often. Just once or twice before winter is plenty. The result? By spring, your soil is more balanced, minerals are more available, and your plants can access food that might have otherwise stayed locked away. It's like turning the key to a treasure chest that was already sitting in your soil. Trick number 5. Autumn leaves. Every fall, nature gives us a gift, and most people throw it away. Leaves. They pile up, they crunch underfoot, and too often they end up in bags at the curb. To use it, shred your leaves if you can. They'll decompose faster and spread a layer a few inches thick over your beds. That's it. By spring, they'll have begun breaking down into black, rich humus, and your soil, once dry and compact, will be moist, spongy, and alive. I often say the best fertilizer doesn't come in a bag. It falls from the trees for free. Trick number 4. Coffee grounds. If you're a coffee drinker, this one will make you smile. Don't throw away those used grounds, they're garden gold. Coffee is rich in nitrogen, which fuels leafy growth, and it contains trace minerals like magnesium, potassium, and phosphorus. But here's the best part. Coffee attracts earthworms, and where there are earthworms, there is healthy soil. Worms tunnel through the ground, keeping it aerated. Their castings enrich the soil with natural fertilizers that plants absorb easily. Here's a simple way to use it. Brew your coffee as usual, let it cool, and dilute it in a watering can with 5 parts water. Pour this liquid gently across your beds over the winter. The worms move in, and by spring your soil feels softer, richer, and more alive than ever before. I've walked out in April, pulled back the mulch, and seen worms working by the dozen, all drawn by yesterday's coffee. And that, my friends, is the surest sign your soil is thriving. Trick number 9. Biochar, the nutrient bank. If you've never heard of biochar, think of it as charcoal with a purpose. Biochar is created by burning wood or plant matter in a low-oxygen environment, producing a porous material that doesn't break down quickly. When you add it to soil in the fall, it acts like a sponge, holding on to nutrients and water. Here's the beauty of it. Instead of fertilizers washing away with winter rains, biochar locks them in. Then, as your plants grow in spring and summer, the nutrients are released slowly, right at the root zone. Farmers in the Amazon used this method thousands of years ago, creating soils so fertile they're still rich today. To supercharge it, soak your biochar first, either in compost tea, coffee grounds, or even that yeast and sugar brew we talked about earlier. Then spread a thin layer over your beds and mix it into the topsoil. By spring, your garden will be sitting on a nutrient savings account that pays dividends all season long. Trick number 1. Flour. It might sound strange, but plain kitchen flour can transform your soil. Why? Because it's pure carbohydrate, the perfect food for microbes. When you dust flour, enormous trick number 7, banana peels and citrus peels. Most of us toss them into the trash without a thought, but these kitchen scraps are secret treasures for gardeners. Banana peels are loaded with potassium and calcium, while citrus peels provide trace minerals and natural oils that stimulate soil microbes. In fall, you can chop peels into small pieces and bury them lightly in your beds over winter. They slowly break down, releasing nutrients right where your plants and tall roots will find them come spring. Potassium strengthens stems and helps fruits ripen evenly, while calcium prevents problems like blossom end rot in tomatoes and peppers. The first year I started burying peels, I noticed my tomatoes grew sturdier, and my peppers set more fruit with fewer blemishes. A handful of peels today can mean baskets of healthy produce tomorrow. It's proof that sometimes the best fertilizers don't come from a store. They come from your kitchen counter. Trick number 6, clover cover crop. One of the smartest things you can do in fall is to keep your soil covered. Bare soil is vulnerable. It erodes, dries out, and loses precious nutrients to wind and rain. But plant a cover crop like clover and you transform your beds into living green carpets. Here's why clover is so powerful. Its roots form a partnership with special bacteria that pull nitrogen straight from the air and lock it into the soil. That means by spring, your garden is already charged with natural fertilizer. And while clover grows, it protects the soil from washing away and suppresses weeds at the same time. In spring, just trim it down and leave the cuttings right on the bed as mulch. The roots decay in place, releasing all that stored nitrogen exactly where your vegetables will need it. It's simple, it's effective, and it's one of the easiest ways to build fertility without lifting a single bag of manure. Trick number 10, eggshells for calcium. Every kitchen produces them, and yet most people toss them out. But eggshells are a slow-release treasure for gardeners. They're made mostly of calcium carbonate, the same compound plants use to build strong cell walls and fruits that don't collapse under stress. When added in the fall, crushed eggshells have months to break down. By the time your tomatoes, peppers, and squash are setting fruit, that calcium is available right where it's needed, blossom and rot. One of the most frustrating problems for gardeners can often be prevented simply by feeding the soil with shells in autumn. Here's how. Rinse them, let them dry, then crush them as fine as you can. Fuels microbes while directly supporting root development. Here's why it matters. Plants with deeper, stronger roots can reach water during dry spells and pull nutrients from layers most crops never touch. That means resilience when the summer heat arrives and bigger harvests when fruiting season comes to use it. Loosen the soil just as you did with flour. Then sprinkle a thin layer of potato starch, lightly, as if you were dusting sugar over a cake. Water it in with warm, settled water so it sinks deep. Over winter, microbes feast on it. By spring, your soil isn't just healthier, it's primed to grow plants with roots that dig deeper and yields that reach higher. My peppers and tomatoes doubled in vigor the first year I tried this, and the results were undeniable. Trick number 12, seaweed and kelp. If you've ever walked along the beach, you've seen seaweed washed up on shore. To many, it's just ocean debris, but to gardeners, it's a superfood for the soil. Seaweed contains more than 60 trace minerals plus natural growth hormones that boost plant health and resilience. In fall, you can collect dried seaweed. If you live near the coast or buy kelp meal from a garden supply, spread it across your beds or mix it lightly into the soil. Over the winter, it breaks down, releasing minerals that strengthen root systems and improve disease resistance. By spring, your soil is infused with the ocean's bounty, and your crops respond with vigor. I've seen tomatoes resist blight longer, cucumbers grow greener, and squash set fruit more heavily, all thanks to a layer of seaweed added months before. It's a reminder that some of the best soil builders don't come from land at all, but from the sea. Trick number 2, yeast and sugar. This one feels like pure garden alchemy. When you mix yeast with sugar and warm water, you're not just making a fizzy brew, you're creating life. The yeast wakes up, multiplies, and produces compounds that soil microbes love. When you pour it over your beds, you're delivering billions of tiny helpers straight into the soil. Here's the recipe. In a bucket of warm water, dissolve 2 tablespoons of sugar, stir until clear, then add a packet of dry yeast. Leave it in a shaded spot for about 12 hours. During that time, the yeast feeds and grows. When you pour this mixture onto your soil, it sinks deep. kickstarting microbial colonies that will keep working all winter long. The results are striking. In spring, seedlings root faster, stems grow thicker, and plants resist stress far better than before. Biochar to hold nutrients for the long-term eggshells to prevent blossom end rot. Apple cider vinegar to unlock hidden food in the soil, and seaweed to fortify your garden with the minerals of the ocean. Each of these on its own can make a difference, but together they transform your soil into a living ecosystem, rich, balanced, and brimming with life. And all without the smell, the mess, or the hassle of manure. Picture yourself next spring walking into your garden, feeling soil that's dark and crumbly beneath your fingers, spotting worms wriggling just under the surface. Your tomatoes stand tall, your peppers are heavy with fruit, your cucumbers climb eagerly across their trellis. That abundance isn't luck, it's the reward for the choices you made this fall. Healthy soil is the gift that keeps on giving. And when you build it with simple, natural tricks like these, you're not just feeding your plants, you're creating a garden that can thrive for years to come. If this inspired you, give it a like. Subscribe for more simple but powerful gardening wisdom, and share it with a friend who's ready to grow better harvests. And let me know in the comments, which of these fall tricks are you going to try first? Together, we can leave behind the old reliance on manure and step into a cleaner, smarter, more abundant way to garden.